Do you suspect that your partner might be struggling with postnatal or postpartum depression? Here are some signs that might help you to recognize certain warning signals as well as also how to best support them. Hi, and welcome to today's topic, which is all about signs of postnatal and postpartum depression in your partner. Now, everyone, my name is Evette Rose, and I'm going to be your host and your facilitator for today's video. And just very briefly, for those of you who are new, I am very well known for having written this big book called Metaphysical Anatomy, which is a big book of 679 medical ailments, and that's a psychosomatic stress for adults. And yes, we absolutely also have the kids version as well. Your ancestry is talking. Are you listening? So this is the psychosomatics for kids. So let's jump straight into this. This is quite a very big topic, and it's becoming more and more recognized because more people are finally speaking out. We often associate a lot of guilt and shame with speaking out, and this was one of the biggest mistakes that I also personally made myself. Now, I was not necessarily medically diagnosed with postnatal depression during my pregnancy and after, but when I can tell you is the experiences that I had and how absolutely knee-breakingly horrifying it was for me to go through that. And then also with my partner being there on the side, trying his absolute best to support me. So for any of you who are out there, whether it's dads, partners, if you're having someone in your life that you love, like a partner, maybe going through postnatal depression or you suspect that, I'm going to be talking a little bit today about the downsides of this and certain signs what to look out for, and just some brief tips as well how you can support your partner best. I also have other videos about postpartum depression for men because it's not just women who suffer from this type of depression, men actually do as well. And then of course a lot of other videos also about postpartum and postnatal depression that might be able to support you as best as possible, and also for mamas, for those of you who are going through this. So my personal experience with this was when I started to notice, especially like during the pregnancy, I kind of felt relatively pretty good. And then after the pregnancy, so that's postpartum depression, after about 3 months, I was like, wow, this is great. I think I'm doing all right. And then one day it just hit me. And it hit me so fast that I almost actually didn't recognize it, because sometimes when I go into a bad state, I love to work, I'll dive into hobbies, I'll actually be proactive to help to alleviate my state of distress. And here's where I actually made the mistake. I continued to just dive into doing things and keeping myself busy. And I was not listening to my body. I wasn't listening to how I was feeling. Instead, I kept thinking, well, no, everything's been okay until now. Why would something just suddenly just go wrong out of nowhere? It didn't make sense. So, being out in the open, I love to do public speaking. I love to meet people and connect. Suddenly, I just wanted to withdraw. Right? I didn't want to leave the house. My moods were fluctuating up and down, and almost to the point where when I would have an outburst and I'm standing there and I'm thinking, like, intellectually I could see what was going on, but emotionally it's like I couldn't get a grip on it, like I couldn't control it. And this created strong feelings of helplessness, powerlessness, feeling almost vulnerable to what was happening with my body, where you can almost intellectually, you have an awareness of what's going on, but the awareness is not enough to actually take constructive steps to get out of it. And this just triggered tremendous feelings of insecurity, feeling suddenly incompetent around my first daughter, whereas I felt really confident at first. It was like a day and night switch. And then suddenly I felt like I was being a bad mom. I felt really unworthy. I felt like this is someone else's life. This is not something that I even deserve. Right? And I didn't feel that I could connect to my daughter. I felt like it was a feeling of numbness. That's almost the best way that I can describe it. It's like this dark numbness. And that just followed with a string feelings of inadequacy. Like just being inadequate, being around the child, oh my God, now I'm alone with the child. Do I know what I'm supposed to be doing? Are the things that I have been doing correct? You start to question yourself. You start to question things that used to just be absolutely natural and instinctive. Now you question it. And you're bringing way too much logic and intellectual processes into that. And it caused me to spiral. It caused me to spiral into very, very deep, tremendously sad feelings, like low mood as well. There was like a deep sense of loss as well. Like I felt there was a part of me that was so excited with this new life, but there was a part of me that felt torn between grieving for my old life that I also had as well. And it was the sense of loss that I also was feeling. But it was this type of loss that you cannot intellectualize. As odd as it might sound, this is exactly what the process for me felt like, and also for a lot of moms that I've worked with and that I've spoken to who also went through this process, right? And things that you used to love doing, no interest, no interest. It now just feels like an absolute burden, or you feel angry because you don't have the time or the space or the right structure to get into doing what you used to be able to do as well. And I found myself also speaking very negatively all the time, right? To withdrawing also from people. That was the worst for me. Like I would just go absolutely quiet, completely absent. And then of course the lack of energy, the lack of sleep, right? Feeling sleepy the whole day. That sleep deprivation was horrific, and that is exasperated everything else that I was also going through. And a lot of moms also talk about the sleep deprivation phases, which kind of feels like they don't really end. Even as the child matures, it's like the sleep deprivation, the type of sleep deprivation just changes. It's not that it actually really goes away. So these were some experiences that I went through. Now I want to tackle some general signs, what you can also be looking out for, right? So more general signs is again like that feeling of feeling unable to look after the child, problems concentrating, making decisions. It could be loss of appetite or even an increase of appetite, such as like comfort eating. It can be strong feelings of guilt, like self-blame, feeling just completely inadequate, like wanting to hide, not wanting to be seen, not wanting to express, feeling completely misunderstood, and also difficulty bonding with the child as well. And they can also be very strong negative thoughts, such as maybe like feelings of like hurting the child, hurting people, hurting a partner might, say they want to hurt themselves. And of course, the biggest red flag is suicidal thoughts. That should never, ever be taken lightly at all. Professional help needs to be created or introduced as soon as possible, because these type of negative thoughts, they end up spiraling, especially if you go to bed with these negative thoughts. This is what you go to put to rest in your subconscious mind, and this is what you digest overnight, which means that those thoughts will also now be repeated and coming back into your new thoughts in the new day, right? So because at least we have how many 90,000 thoughts per day, and at least 70,000 thoughts of that is repeated the next day. So if you're focused on negativity, suicide thoughts and feelings, especially for your partner in this case, actually, there's a high chance these thoughts are, of course, going to be carried over into the next day. And of course, if there's a chemical imbalance, it will be carried over most likely in the next day. So all of this needs to be looked at and addressed as soon as possible. So for me, what helped me with my mental state, and just a disclosure here, I'm not a healthcare practitioner. I'm only sharing with you what worked for me. So you have to do your own research, ask your own questions, talk to your doctors, talk to your therapist. But for me, I took a vitamin complex, which I will explain in a minute. But one of the most important, significant things for me that stood really out was vitamin C. Something as simple as vitamin C. And so when I was not pregnant, after the pregnancy, I started to take 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C. I would take, 3,000 in the morning, and then, or 3,000 then again at night. Now, why is this so significant? Vitamin C is one of the best established functions of vitamin C, right? Is the regulation of neurotransmitters, your biosynthesis, including this of your dopamine, your norepinephrine, your estrogen levels. It helps to produce all these different hormones. It helps them to communicate and connect the transmitters with one another so that the right amount can be communicated. Normally after birth, that drop in hormones creates a drop in communication as well, because the communication of the transmitters now needs to adjust as well. And how that adjusts can, in my opinion, determine whether a woman can develop postpartum depression. Now, this is not an isolated potential cause. Absolutely, there's more. There's thyroid problems, there's dietary problems, there's history of mental health problems as well. So these are all other factors that also needs to be considered as well. But I'm talking from my own personal experience and what was the trigger for me and how I rebalanced it and got back into me, right? So vitamin C was crucial. I love Lambert's. Lambert's is the absolute best vitamin company that I've ever found that has really potent, powerful vitamins. And I'm not an affiliate from them, by the way. And so when you look at the vitamins that I was taking, I took Strong Start during my pregnancy, but I continued to take it afterwards. Why? Because your body is still healing. It takes you 2 years to heal after giving birth. So your partner is still healing. They're still going through this whole process, right? So I continue to take that multivitamin. I love my omega-3 tablets. I also take vitamin D3 combined with K2 and then combined with my vitamin C complex. And also what can be added if needed, if your partner, for example, is anemic or very low in iron and all of this, or a very stressed, a very anxious person, look at a vitamin B complex as well. Look at vitamin B3 niacin. It soothes the nervous system. This was an absolute winning formula and it changed my life. This changed things drastically around for me 360 degrees. So make sure that estrogen and progesterone is also regulated for your partner. Do tests for this because a drop in estrogen and progesterone can lead to depression. However, so for me personally, vitamin C drastically helped me as a communication conductor. And it was involved in this whole beautiful process of physiology of the nervous system, how it helped me to kind of rebuild and rearrange and rewire the communication and the structures of neurons for me. So these are some things for you to look at, to dive into, to just give you something to start with if you feel like you're frustrated and you don't know how to help your partner. These are very simple steps that's not invasive that you can already start to help them to improve their physical and psychological health. And of course, maybe your partner might need more serious medication from a psychologist or a therapist or a doctor. Please talk openly about this because this is not something that should ever be played with, because it's your partner's health and life here, it's your child's life and health here, and yours as well. More than one person is affected. So I see you and I know that you got this. And until next time, take care. So guys, there you have it. Also remember to subscribe to my channel, stay up to date. And also I have a free Mac membership website where we have so many courses up there. There's meditations, there's workshops, whatever you need, it's there. There's so many wonderful webinar replays as well that you can benefit from and also to observe and to learn from. Guys, also remember that I have written 18 books. 18, 1-8. And one of many among them are Metaphysical Anatomy and Psychosomatics for Children. So this one is the Psychosomatics for adults. This one is the Psychosomatics for kids. So these books are super popular. People love it. If you want to learn more about how your body works, understanding messages behind it, maybe you have that gnawing pain or maybe an ailment that's surfacing and you want to understand what is it that your body is trying to tell you. Guys, these books are going to be absolutely invaluable to you. You can find it at evettebooks.com, where you will also find all my other 18 books. And guys, also remember to keep asking all these great questions. I love to answer your questions at Ask Evette, where we discuss, life conundrums and, life challenges, and just answer questions perhaps where you feel, quite stuck in your life. I would love to share my perspective with this and to help you to resolve perhaps certain pain points that you might be having in your life as well. So guys, remember to stay in touch. There's so many great things that's happening. And also something really awesome is that this book is already also in video format. So imagine 679 medical elements in video format, and also with meditations and healing courses, workshops, masterclasses, everything behind that in our Platinum membership site. So guys, remember to check that out. There is so many great things happening there. So see you there.